Great to have you with us. Now, from time to time, we get to the opportunity to meet some pretty cool people from doing some pretty cool things for our planet. And our guest today is the founder and owner of Keep It Cool. It's an environmental not-for-profit that plants trees and educates and raises awareness about our natural environment. And a few of our team were pretty lucky. We got to go down and spend a day with Lucas in Jindabyne on a very wet, cold day, which made for a bit of an adventure. And so I have the privilege today to have a coffee and a chat with Lucas Wilkinson. Lucas, how are you today, mate?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Doing well. And it's good to see you again.
Likewise. I think last time we were in contact, it was probably a lot more environmentally uncomfortable. Some sideways rain that was on the verge of snow. And at the moment I'm inside, heaters on, down here in the Snowy Mountains. It's getting cold that time of year. But probably not as cold as the last planting day. That was a tough one. That was probably the coldest one I've done.
Yeah, wow. Okay, good to know we came on the coldest one. I remember I could not feel my fingertips, but it was worth it in the end. It was great.
Absolutely. It builds resilience, That's it. The next one will be so much better because it won't be as bad as that. I don't think it can get any worse.
Yeah, it's all uphill from here. That's a good point. So what are you drinking today, mate? You've got your coffee. What do we got?
Yeah, I'm drinking the Pablo and Rusty's Las Flores. Probably going to butcher these names. Caban Alta Verapaz Guatemalan filter blend. It's delicious.
I'm sure you nailed that. Yeah, you nailed that for sure.
So I make a filter coffee for myself at home, just black, with my little S Pro French press.
Cool, that's a cool one.
Yeah, hand grinded. It's a bit of a catharsis thing. Just hand grind.
100%.
Make sure I've got the coffee going, and it's lovely. It's lovely to have a nice hot coffee on a cold May afternoon like this.
Yeah, that's it. That's cool. Yeah, I love filter coffee. I do love hand grinding it too, even though I have an electric grinder. There's something about making it by hand that's just, I don't know, it's so much more satisfying or something.
Yeah, it feels like you've earned it,
Yeah, that's it. So is that how you normally would prefer your coffee, filter coffee?
Yeah, I ideally, black coffee in filter form. Long blacks for me are a little bit too, I don't know, there's a lot going on. It's a lot like a kind of big punch of flavour. But if I'm out, I usually get a soy flat white if I'm out at a cafe, just because there's a bit more to it. It's a bit more of a meal. You're having coffee with friends. That can be a bit of a mouthful, but generally filter coffee. I really like the States. Everyone writes off the US about their coffee, but they're doing that drip filter. They've been doing it for years.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. They're doing a lot of filter for a long time. All right, I've got a question for you. If you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose and why?
It's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
I guess Charles Darwin's up there because I just feel like that guy was just, it comes from a different time period, so the conversation would probably be weird, but the guy was he was a genius, and he was quite a intrepid explorer. Another one, which is I guess more recent, Marc-Andre Leclerc. He's was quite an accomplished alpine climber who tragically passed away. But I really admire what he did because he was doing the gnarliest, craziest, big mountain ascents out of anyone in the world, and he just wasn't telling anyone about it. He wasn't on Instagram. He just did them because he liked doing them, and I'd love to just chat to him and go why do you so many people do stuff to post on their Instagram or tell people they did it. Yeah. He was just doing it because he loved it.
That's cool. That's really good. So judging by that, it sounds like you're up for an adventure always, mate. You've got some adventurous people in your list.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the Snowy Mountains in Australia, down in southeastern New South Wales, and it was just as part of growing up here was being outside. I was always, me and my friend group were always building jumps for our BMXs, or I grew up skiing up the ski resorts, which are just half an hour away, and so if we weren't up there, we were finding the biggest drop we could do on our skateboards, or because there was no skate parks obviously back when I was growing up, and and just all those things. So I was always kind of outside, and I think that's led me to my lifestyle at the moment. Like I said, for my job, I do that content kind of side of things, but probably focused more in the outdoors and adventure world. Is where I do a lot of my work, and it's just taking me around the world to some amazing places, and I'm getting paid to do it, which is really, really cool. So yeah, that's been a really big part of my life, and I think that was one of the catalysts that kind of brought on Keep It Cool. It was something that is based that gives back to the environment, gives back to the natural world, the outside, the part of the planet that I really like being in.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so cool. Before we jump into the business kind of questions, one more question for you personally, or I guess maybe if you have a question for us, what question about coffee do you maybe have for us that we could help with?
I'm a bit of a coffee nerd, I guess. Like, I'm not a coffee nerd. I just really like coffee. I like it,
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm the first one to say, like, I'm not a coffee snob. People want to snob coffee. I'll have filter, and if I'm out in the backcountry and I've just done a big hike and we've got a bit of blend 43 and a jet boil, like, there's no writing that off. Like, coffees, I think it's about the taste, but it's also about the place, the time, the people, like the scenery, everything. So definitely I'm a coffee person. And I was recently in San Francisco, actually, and I was getting a pour over from this really, really cool, trendy cafe that I tracked down, and I was like, I'll just get a pour over, and the fella's like, oh, look, we've got 3 different types, and he listed them. And I was like, I'll get, and I was looking confused, I think, and he saw the look on my face because I didn't know which one to get. And he's like, this one's New World, this one's Old World, and this one's something. And so, is there like I feel like in wine, there's like New World wine, there's like, Australian, New Zealand, there's Old World, like Europe, France, so those kind of regions. Is that in coffee?
Yeah, well, this is a good question. I actually I know that you asked me this ahead of time, which was good because I got to take this to some of our team and ask the actual experts. Like, I'm the digital guy, so I love coffee, but I'm not the expert by any means. But so I got to ask a few of them, and it was good because it kind of started them thinking they were not sure. So basically, the short answer is not really. Like, it's not a term that we tend to use in coffee, at least in Australia, anyway. But in saying that, like, we do, he could be referring to kind of locations, New World, Old World, kind of like you said. Like, Old World is more you're like maybe your more classic kind of coffee regions like Central South America, Brazil, Guatemala. New World, maybe Ethiopian, kind of Kenya, Rwanda. And I guess in terms of like the States, if you're in San Francisco, he could be referring to that because I know it seems like at least the US tend to get less African coffee than we do here in Australia. They tend to have more of the South American coffee. So it could be kind of referring to that New World, Old World.
No, it's good. I'm glad I got the team talking. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Like inspiring discussion.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about Keep It Cool. What is it? What's its purpose? Where did it start?
So, yeah, like I said earlier, I think Keep It Cool was born out of my personal, I guess, love of the outdoors and the environment. I think, it was a few years ago now, I was, looking for somewhere, like I just come into my 30s, and I think I was looking for somewhere to direct my altruism. And I was like, I'd read a few books, one in particular by, I think the guy's name's Bob McCaskill, or is whatever it is. It's called Doing Good Better, and it's about like effective altruism. Essentially, it's like, how do you do altruism in the most effective way? And I was just looking for somewhere to direct my altruism, and I kind of came up with my things were like the outdoors and the environment, and more specific to that, like winter sports. That's one of my big. Most of the stuff I do is in the winter sports realm. Skiing, snowboarding, that kind of thing, and I looked around, for somewhere to like either, volunteer or donate, and there wasn't really anything that aligned with that. There were some charities in Australia that were planting trees, or like organisations, should I say. there were some winter-based organizations like Protect Our Winters, which is like a US-based thing, but they're more of a political lobbying group rather than like a direct action group. And so I was like, well, look, I think the only thing I can do here is combine these two things that I want to do. So it's like, direct environmental action and, involving the outdoors and the environment, marry those together. And then that was essentially the birth of the concept. And so, the concept was sort of baked away in the background. I kind of navigated the very hard to navigate world of establishing a not-for-profit in Australia, which I think probably needs a little bit of work behind the scenes. I think the barriers to entry are very high, and at the moment they're probably stopping a lot of good being done, just purely based on the bureaucracy that goes on behind the scenes. So I navigated that world for about 12 months, finally got to the point where I was ready. So I built a website. Luckily, as a kind of content guy, I had all this content. I built all this content out to really, give it a good look when it was launched. And then, it was actually 2 years ago, just a few days ago, that I went live with Keep It Cool. Essentially the whole premise behind Keep It Cool is, we plant trees. We plant trees by, raising money and activating people within these outdoor communities. These people, not like specifically, completely confined to these communities, but like people that enjoy being outdoors. It's not just your skiers and snowboarders, but it's like people that go hiking, people that like to come down to the mountains or any mountains anywhere and just like being outside and appreciate that being out in nature. So, we activate those communities and we work with brands and partners to raise money to plant trees, predominantly in the Snowy Mountains region of Australia, down here in southeastern New South Wales. So, and it's been really good. We've had like such a great response initially. Lots of brands got on board. We had two really big companies. Perisher and Thredbo, which are the two local ski resorts, they've come on board. So the local support's been great, and just to see so many people come along to these planting days, I think that was like it was shocking at first, just that people actually showed up to this thing I did. People want to come and help and play their part, and further to that, like part of that was building these relationships with local landholders. So obviously you need the land to plant the trees on, and that's been a really good experience for me. Meeting all these new people, like lots of different walks of life. We work with landholders who are running, 1,000-hectare active sheep properties, who want to do some revegetation, all the way down to people that have some spare land on their kind of lifestyle block, out just outside of town in Jindabyne. So like a big mix of people, and all the landholders we work with have the same. They're really aligned with our values. They want to give back and dedicate some of their land to regenerating that land and creating new habitat for wildlife and drawing down some carbon in the process. And I think the co-benefits of we started Keep It Cool with the obviously like Keep It Cool refers to like keeping the earth cool through planting trees, and started it with the idea that the main goal of drawing down carbon. But I think while that's really great, I think the co-benefits of planting, native forest back are immense. There's the habitat it creates, just beautifies the natural environment and helps restore some of that land back to what it was before. We showed up here a couple of 100 years ago and chopped all the trees down. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And now, 2 years later, we've planted over 15,000 trees on 8 different sites around the Snowy Mountains, and it's had 2,000 plus volunteer hours, 200 or 300 volunteers, separate volunteers have come through. We've got a lot of repeat volunteers that show up to a lot of the days, which is great because
so cool.
Don't have to do the intro. I think when you guys were there was a few there. I was like, you guys just go off. You know what to do. There was a few local crew that they know exactly how it works. So
good on them.
So it's been really good. And I think moving forward, it's just a matter of just kind of keeping the momentum going and just trying to get more people involved, more brands involved, have more activations. And now that COVID's kind of hopefully Gornskis, we can start to plan a little bit more and work on those things. We've got some big planting numbers actually coming up this year, which I can talk about at a later date. It's a little bit under the radar at the moment, but so it's really exciting.
That's cool. And so, yeah, it's so awesome you have all those volunteers and then I guess even the people that you're working with and developing their land and planting on their land. How do you find volunteers and how do you find people that are willing to partner with you to plant on their property?
Well, I think the volunteers, I mean, a big part of what I do is like work on social media for a job. You're a digital guy yourself, the skinny. It was naturally like a lot of our comms go out digitally. So our audience is a little bit younger, so they're going to probably engage with those digital channels a bit more. And so for volunteers, we go out through, we have a registration form on the website and then we put the call out, try and get the dates as far ahead as possible so people can make their plans. Obviously, sometimes things change. This summer was interesting because it was as I'm sure everyone on the east coast of Australia is aware, it was a very wet summer, and so we had a few rainy days. You attended one of those. That was unfortunately rainy and very cold. But yeah, so that's the way we kind of get out to the volunteers, and then I think the brands initially, I just use a lot of my contacts within the industry to just reach out to these brands and these contacts I had and said, oh look, I'm doing this thing with these trees. This is what we're doing. Do you want to get involved? And the initial response was resoundingly positive. Had brands like Burton Snowboards. They're planting one tree for every family tree snowboard they sell in Australia. So like big commitments like that from brands in the industry. And I think having some of those really prominent brands on board initially, just having their name attached to what we were doing was really beneficial for other brands outside of my initial kind of sphere of influence to come in and be like, oh wow, like these guys are planting trees, they're working with XYZ, they're reputable companies, maybe we'll reach out. And so I've had some really good brands just reach out of the blue. Pablo and Rusty's is one of them. I just got contacted by Chris and we just had a chat and then one thing led to another and now Pablo and Rusty's are a partner and planting thousands of trees and supplying our planters with some of the nitro cans which lit a fire under a lot of them. So
that's it.
So yeah, I think that's probably more important really. You got to get those volunteers cracking. Bit extra coffee in the morning would definitely get that going. So yeah, that's generally how it goes. And I think moving forward, it's just a matter of like sustaining those relationships and just trying to build more relationships with other brands that are in that space, really like-minded and want to help the environment, give back, and hopefully come down to the Snowy Mountains and have a nice, pleasant planting day in the sun. Next year, next year we can do that for P&R.
Yeah, that's it. We'll be able to get the drone out and everything. It would be raining. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So it's so inspiring that you would do all of this, not for profit, not to make a bunch of money, just because you're passionate about it and it's an outlet, I guess. But you have to sacrifice a lot in order to make it work. Who does the team consist of? Is it just you?
It's just me primarily. So like in terms of like running it, yeah, it's mostly just me. I have a few friends that by way of being my friend sometimes get suckered into helping out a little bit, but I think they wouldn't do it. They're good enough friends of mine to tell me to rack off if they didn't want to do it. But so I've got a few friends, especially a few friends that are quite good with cameras. So if they come along, I can sometimes get them to snap some pics or I'll get the video camera out. So that definitely helps. And then a lot of people just lending helping hands here and there. It really has been. That's definitely something I didn't touch on. The whole thing has just been a constant learning game. It's been, I like the term of like building the plane as it's taking off. It really has been that, I've had some really great experts to lean on for all the stuff like navigating charities and then the environmental and science stuff. I've had some really good experts telling me like, this is the best way to do it. Our grower who grows all our nursery plants, Annie Platts, has been like amazing. She just knows plants and the Monero. Like she grows millions of plants a year for all sorts of projects like in the national park and for Snowy Hydro and all these things. And she's just been really great to us to, tell me like, oh, I'll just tell her what the land's like, what we're thinking, and she's like, oh, this should work here, and cool. Even still, like, I'm even going back to sites and seeing certain plants like, oh, they didn't really quite take as well as X did or Y, and so just taking all that information in, and that's why it's been good to have that slow burn. Like I said, we've achieved a lot in 2 years, but I think it's been, sustainable. The growth has been sustainable.
Yeah, that's awesome. So cool. Okay, what about do you have a story or an experience since launching Keep It Cool that's been like really encouraging for you, that's kind of made it feel like it's been worth it?
Look, I think like it's honestly like, it's cliche, it's super cliche, but it really is, it's the whole thing, like I think I still like, it just is such a great feeling when people just show up. Like they show up to this thing that you're doing, and they're like, they're there, they're ready to plant trees, they're like, they believe in what you're doing, and they like, manual labor sucks. Like that's, I think a lot of people they haven't planted trees before. They're like, I'm gonna go plant some trees, and then they get out there and I hand them a shovel and go, come on, on the shovel. We try and make it as easy as possible, but like we pre-rip the land, all these things. But it's hard work. You're out there for a few hours just digging holes or bending down and planting trees. So I think the fact that people are willing to do that, and we hold our planting days almost entirely on weekends, so they're willing to do that on their day off. That's inspiring. And I think further to that, just the support that I've had from everyone. People that are like just meeting all these brands and these people that are just willing to like kind of subscribe to this narrative, that we need to start, doing a little bit more to give back, and just seeing the effects it has, and seeing some of the plants we planted 2 years ago that are nearly as tall as me now is that's also pretty encouraging, knowing that a few of them are on their way to being big boys and girls.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's cool to have something physical like that you've put in the ground, and you can look at it and be like, that wouldn't be there without all the work that we've done, which is awesome. I know you mentioned, kind of scaling business, or not business, scaling your organization is kind of is kind of a big step. It's a next big kind of challenge, and how you're going to tackle that. But what is the biggest challenge at the moment that you feel like you're facing in this organization, and how you're tackling it?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is balancing my time on all levels. Like it's giving myself enough time to. I'd like to be like engaged and working a lot. It's just like a trait, and some people have it, some people don't. Some people don't want to be doing stuff all the time. I'm like a do stuff all the time kind of guy. So it's not too bad for me to be working on my like job from 7 in the morning till like 2, and then doing some Keep It Cool stuff from like 2 till the afternoon, and then having dinner and whatever. But I think for me it's balancing that time between my work, Keep It Cool, and then also having some time to just disconnect and switch off and not be thinking about either or. So that's been the biggest thing for me, just finding the time. And then I think, as I said, just understanding what Keep It Cool look like in 5 years, in 10 years. That's hard at the moment, just knowing like how we'll go about doing what we're doing. It is a little bit of a like, it's definitely not going anywhere, but just knowing like what the scale will be, what the size will be, and just trying to somewhat plan that out in my head, so that when it starts eventuating or goes a certain way, I have some of an idea to like push it in a certain direction. But yeah, at the moment, it's working exactly how I'd hoped, if not like more. There's definitely been more interest, more financial backing, and more backing from volunteers. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and just kind of trying to roll with the punches, and as much as I can, and just stick to that goal of just like trees in the ground. The more we do, the better, and just keep chipping away.
Yeah, that's good. I know that we're super stoked to be partnering with you and your organization. Like it's phenomenal, and I know personally for me, like I'm very inspired by you, and that you would put all the work in. Like it's not just something you can just do I don't know, casually. It's like you had to really decide, I'm gonna go all in, I'm gonna do this thing, and you put in the hard yards, and you've created this group of people, this kind of community of people that want to give back to the planet. And so it's not just kind of you giving back to the planet by yourself, but you're actually making a way for other people to do that too, which is phenomenal. So it's kind of like we get to ride on all of your hard work and just jump on in and plant some trees, but the legwork before that was all you, mate. So you're doing some great stuff, and super stoked.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think, and that was like another kind of touchstone of what I wanted to do, was just, I think a lot of people wanted to be able to go plant trees, or give $50 to plant 10 trees, whatever it was. They just didn't have the avenue, you know. It was like, and giving people that avenue, that opportunity to do it, and just trying to make the barriers to entry to getting involved in like for cause work just as low as possible is kind of the goal. You know, the more people we can get involved, the better. Even if they do show up to one planting day and realize they hate shoveling, that's okay. They like, now they know, you know, and maybe they'll give $50 and hope that someone else plants the 10 trees. So
that's it.
So that was definitely like, one of the reasons that I wanted to get it going was that. And yeah, I don't mind getting out there and getting the hands dirty. I've planted my fair share of trees when we don't quite make the quota on planting day. So it's not too bad. You know, podcast in, just plan away. Worry about the roll back later.
It's so good, man. So how can people find out more about you and maybe your organization?
So I think the best thing is to jump on our socials, probably mainly Instagram. You know, it's a little bit less convoluted than Facebook for actually getting the messaging out. Pretty image, a little bit of text. That's what we're doing, even in the stories. We communicate a lot through that. We have a mailing list, which you can sign up to on the website. And the website's keepitcool.org.au. And there, so we've got like all the information on the website. We're actually just quickly redoing the website at the moment. I've actually I just I do normally do it all myself. I've just handballed it to a web designer because I don't have the time.
So good.
So yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there is like, you know, Keep It Cool doesn't quite have the budget to be hiring web designers. So I just try and do as much of it myself as I can with all of the stuff, because the more I can do myself for free, the more there is for, you know, for Keep It Cool to have those spare funds to buy like things that it really needs. Like we need a trailer at the moment. And I think we have enough funds to, you know, cover a trailer. So that's the next like capital investment for Keep It Cool. So yeah, there's all those things. It is like, even before when you said, the business, and you're like, the organization, it is a business. It's, you know, there's ins, there's outs. Now I've got to manage that financially, because our entire funding model is based on this $5 per tree model, where, you know, we say, give us $5 and we'll plant one tree. And so balancing that amount of money, you know, some projects will cost closer to the $5 mark just to get the tree in the ground, and some you'll make a little bit, you know, it'll cost a bit less because you'll have some savings, like the landholder might do the prep work for you, or all these kind of things. So that's another like kind of balancing act of just making sure the finances all line up, and that's just how it rolls. We want to be planting trees more so than worry about stuff like that. But yeah, that's that. We need a trailer. I've got to order that trailer actually.
Yeah, that's it. And the more you can do that, the easier it is to do more and expand from there, which is great.
And that's it. Yeah, the more, you know, hopefully get some like economies of scale, you know, get up and start doing more. It becomes more streamlined. We'll see.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, to kind of close this thing out, what do you think the world is going to look like in 5 years? From your predictions, maybe environmentally or business-wise or digital?
Look, I honestly think very similar to what it is now. You know, obviously there's a lot of talk around, you know, our changing climate, and I think we're quick to assign anything that happens to this changing climate thing, which surely has an effect. I don't think it's the thing causing it. There's been natural disasters for years and years and years, but the data is there, and the climate's changing and the world's changing, and we're doing it, and it's not good. But I think, you know, like environmentally, hopefully we're turning a corner, you know, and there's some amazing restoration projects going on, especially in Australia at the moment. So hopefully those are starting to take shape, and we're getting that done. I think the main thing is that the rhetoric is just how people are thinking about, the world at large, what it's all about, like why we need to be doing X and why we need to be doing Y. Hopefully that conversation is changing. I think, even this recent election we've just had has almost kind of said that climate's important, because we've had a lot of not anti-climate, but do nothing climate MPs that have lost their seats to pro-climate MPs. That's writing on the wall. So hopefully that conversation is changing, and it's a little bit more. There's an open dialogue about what we can do, what will be beneficial, what won't, and hopefully it's all. I mean, I don't want to say it's all like smiles and rainbows, because I don't think that's human nature. But hopefully there's a more a better dialogue, and hopefully some more stuff happens at that bigger political level. Hopefully we start doing a few things that we probably should have done a few years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. All right, last question. Just a bit of a fun one. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know.
You said there's been a lot of learnings on the way.
Everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's it. I mean, I think, like that 18 to 20s period of your life, you're kind of like, you're all fun and you're doing whatever, but you're also like, what am I doing? What am I going to do? And you've probably watched too much Dawson's Creek. Well, that shows my age. You're like, you're thinking that life's going to be this like sitcom. So it'd probably be, everything's going to be all right. Just enjoy yourself, which I did. I think I enjoyed my 18s to early 20s. But everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, that's good, man. I think I agree. I think kind of especially those early 20s period, I think you feel a lot of pressure from everyone. Like you've got to have your life worked out and know what you're doing. But I think it's a great time to just fail a bunch and work out what you're doing.
That's how you learn. Like you learn so, like, and it's, again, cliche, same, but you learn so much more from failure than you do from success. Because if you fail at something, you'll never do it again. Like you just know. So
so true.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
That's good. Well, thanks, Lucas, for your time today, mate, and thanks for sharing with us and partnering with us at PNR. We're stoked to be doing that. But hope you're staying warm in Jindy and can get some planning days happening as it gets warmer.
No worries. Thanks for having me. See you later.